you so much. 22nd of December, Rabbi Levitt, Pele, Yoetz.
And the mitzvahs also, which we have a laman, there's a pasuk. It says, Laman tiyeh Toras Hashem beficha. So we see clearly from the Torah that the Torah tells us that we have this mitzvah of tefillin, and we put on the tefillin, Laman tiyeh Toras Hashem beficha, in order that the words of Torah should be fluent in our mouths, and we should always be able to be zocha, to speak words of Torah. And so therefore the Shulchan Aruch and the Mishnah Berurah paskin that in regard to tefillin, it's ideally it's in addition to this first kavana that I am coming to be Makai mitzvahs bori shitzivani, to put on tefillin. I'm also coming to put on these tefillin laman tiyeh Toras Hashem beficha, in order to fulfill what Hashem told us in the Torah, so that the words of Torah should be in our mouths. And like that, you've fulfilled, according to the Mishnah Berurah, what it is that you have to say before you put on your tefillin. And now you've clarified to yourself what it is that I'm putting on these tefillin for. So tefillin has a special connection to Limud HaTorah, and tzitzis has a connection that connects to all the mitzvahs, Laman Tizgru, all the mitzvahs that there are. That's the halachic kavanah that's brought in the Mishnah Berurah. As I say, it's not li kuva. It doesn't mean that if you don't say it, you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah. If you haven't said this second kavanah, but I have it written in my siddur, and you could write it down. I could send you this little thing also if you want. It's
I was going to ask if you could do that.
You probably I'll means I'm going to have to prevail upon my wife, but we'll see if she has time for all of that. Anyway, and here's on the back you have a little diagram about how first you have 7 revolutions, then 8 revolutions, and 11, and then 13. When you're putting on the strands onto your talis, because the Alshik says that in order to bolster this, that it says that you'll remember all the mitzvahs and to do all of the mitzvahs, and that the tzitzis should be a protection for you against thinking what you shouldn't think and looking where you shouldn't look, which is the pasuk right before it says Laman. He says that you should yourself put on the tzitzis, or at least have somebody else who knows how to put on the tzitzis, who has that kavanah, that I'm putting on these tzitzis in order that I should be able to remember all the mitzvahs and to do all the mitzvahs. And then Alshik says, I didn't see it inside, but that's my Chavrusa told me. I didn't believe it at first, but I mean he's a reliable fellow. He doesn't talk off the top of his head. He said that the Alshik says this, that it puts it gives the tzitzis that you wear a greater strength. If you want to call it a skula, you'll call it a skula. That from the Alshik, that it has a greater strength to help a person to remember to do all the mitzvahs. Okay. So with that, we will continue to the next paragraph. Therefore, on page 239, we're in tzitzis, and we call upon Meir to continue the reading.
Okay. Therefore, A person must be careful that he is always wearing a small talit. He should be vigilant that both his large talit and small talit are halachically proper in accord with all of their laws. If he will not be meticulous in this regard, then he has not fulfilled the mitzvah, and its omission would be better for if a person wears a garment of four corners that has tzitzit that are not qualified, then he bears the sins of making a blessing in vain and wearing a four-cornered garment without proper tzitzit. Similarly, a person needs to be careful to fulfill the dictum of, "This is my God, and I will glorify him," with a beautiful talit. For if a person is dressed in fancy clothes of all different kinds, yet the talit that he wears upon them is torn and tattered, will he not be embarrassed in this world and shamed in the world to come? Disgrace and anger will be abundant.
Oy vey. We have to go out and buy a new talus and put on the tzitzis.
I actually had to do that years ago. My wife noticed, I don't know where we were at. She noticed that the bottom of my talus was torn. So it's no longer, maybe even what he's saying, it's really no longer a four-cornered garment even. Because if it's torn, they're more than four corners. Sort of like a suit jacket or something.
Oh, I see. It was
we went out
actually,
we went out with my son, and I bought a new talit for every day.
Good. Very good. Yes, it's yeah. I mean, and the talus, not only does the talus, the beged itself, become torn, but of course the tzitzis themselves can very easily become torn. Anybody that has grandchildren, he could see very clearly and easily. I mean, the male grandchildren, of course, he could see very easily how they could become torn and tattered, and but even people that are not children, they wear talus katan and sometimes a talus gadol also. That the tzitzis are worn and tattered, and they're discolored. They have chocolate stains on them. They have mud stains on them, and the other thing is if a person can't afford to go out or doesn't have the time for whatever reason to go to buy a new talus, there also is the idea of bringing your talus just like you bring your suit to the dry cleaner. And my experience has been that they're very good at taking care to protect the tzitzis from getting frayed in the cleaning process, which is not always the case when a person tries to clean a talus himself. There's also, you see that the people walk around that their talus may look a little cleaner than other people's, but the tzitzis themselves, on the bottom are all frayed, and that also is maybe halachically acceptable b'diavad, but certainly it's not a fulfillment of zekelin vanveu to have the tzitzios in a frayed disarray. So it's but yeah, if you look around, if you'll start looking around at other people, I'm not telling you to go look around at other people. You should just mind your own business. But if you would look around, you'll see that the people don't take good care of their talis and talus katan, talus gadol at all, and it's something to it is something that's worthwhile. Okay.
Are you allowed to snip the citrus to straighten them up to get rid of the frayed section?
See, generally, what happens is when you do that is that they are afraid it doesn't help.
Mm.
They stay afraid. They stay maybe they'll in a different place they'll be afraid because they're supposed to they the way they make them is that when they're manufactured, they if you'll notice on the ends of your tzitzis, you'll see that they don't they don't easily become frayed because they've treated them in various ways to make sure they don't get frayed. And so simply to cut it without treating it in the way that the manufacturer does it, either by they burn them together. They burn this because each tzitzis is not just one strand. It's a couple strands in your average tzitzis, and I think in others there's even more than one, or more than two rather. But at any rate, so you got to have something to hold those strands together after you cut them, and if you don't do that, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna significantly repair the situation.
Mhm.
In addition to the fact that the minig is to not use scissors on tzitzis, because we don't want to use. Believe the reason is we don't want to use barzel iron for tzitzis, because tzitzis is for life and barzel is for the opposite.
Mm.
Barzel is for a sword. But anyway, that's. But I did see recently that somebody came out with I don't know, I guess he probably has some Rav who said it's okay. He's selling now halakhically acceptable scissors that they're made out of I don't know, silicone or something like that will cut the tzitzis, and but there won't be won't be a metal tzitzis. But I don't know how they take care of the problem that I'm talking about. So I guess, I mean, I see what some people do is that they'll make a little tie at the end of the strand, which that's one way of dealing with it. That's what some people do. But yeah. So yeah, okay. I don't know. Personally, I think that there's nothing more beautiful than a brand new pair of brand new talis that has beautiful white tzitzis on it. It's very, very it's the fulfillment of Zeh Kelin Van Veu. That's what it is. This is my Hashem, and I will glorify him with doing the mitzvahs in a way of beauty and attractiveness, and not that they should be worn or tattered or discolored or some other thing. Okay. All right. And a round of applause for page 239, where we learned about tzitzis and tznius. And now we go on to the top of page 240.
Okay.
We go to Roy to continue the reading. A person should
be meticulous to make his talis, whether large or small, from sheep's wool and not from any other material, through which he would only fulfill a rabbinic mitzvah. It's in Orach Chaim. Behold, this can be compared to a person who has the opportunity to earn 1,000 gold coins and settles for 500.
Okay, now this, what he says over here, I believe is not the, let's take a look at this, let's take a look at this right away. Let's see the source. He's quoted a source over here. Because here in Eretz Yisrael, many people wear talesos that are not made of wool, especially in the summer when it's rather warm. They don't wear that. They wear one made out of cotton. And so the question is this does this mean that we're not doing the mitzvah deraisa? We're only doing the mitzvah drabonin? Let's take a look at over here. Orach Chaim 9:1. I'm gonna be looking in the I'm not gonna be looking in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch because I want to see what the Mishnah Berurah has to say, and I want to see what the poskim today have to say about it, because the Pele Yoetz is he's dropped the bomb over here, because I don't believe that this is the accepted psak here in Eretz Yisrael, that somebody that wears a talis made out of cotton is not makayim the mitzvah deraisa. And I just happen to have my Mishnah Berurah right here.
Ah,
Yes. Okay, so let's start with the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch in Siman Tes. Ezehu begodim chayovim betzitzis, ve'eze peturim betzitzis. Which garments are chayev in tzitzis and which are not? And we start off with the first sif in Shulchan Aruch. Ein chayev betzitzis Torah ella beged pishtan o shel tzemer rechelim. There's no chiyuv for tzitzis to be put on a garment according to the Torah in a garment which is made out of flax or wool, wool of rechelim, of shepselach. Aval big day shar minim ein chayovin betzitzis ela midrabanan. Well, so the Shulchan Aruch seems like it's that's what the Pele Yoetz is quoting to us. Now, that's what the Shulchan Aruch says.
So
But
it said wool or flax,
yeah,
and flax is what produces linen.
yeah.
Okay, so that is slightly different from what he said.
Oh yeah, he didn't mention anything about flax. Okay.
no, just wool. Yeah.
The reason that he didn't mention about flax is because then you get into the problem of having a beggar that's made out of linen and putting on tzitzis, which is made out of wool, and that's an issue of klayim, of shatnez. There's
Right.
all the whole sugi about this in the Gemara, and the history about it, and we're not going to get into it now. But the custom is not to have a beggar that's made out of linen. Okay. Now, after that, what the Shulchan Aruch says, you've got the Ramah. The Ramah says, "V'yesh omrim." There are those who say, "The kulu chayovim midaraisa." All materials are obligated min haTorah, v'hachi hilchasa, and that is the halacha. So let's see what the Mishnah Berurah has to say about all of this. Okay.
So when the Ramah says that is the halacha, is he saying that's the halacha for the Ashkenazi, or is he saying that's the halacha for everybody?
He's saying that's the halacha.
For everybody.
If you're a Sephardi, so you say, but I follow the Shulchan Aruch.
Right, that's what I'm wondering.
If you ask the Ramah, he'll tell you that's the halacha.
I love Judaism.
Okay. Now, in the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Katan Hay. Anybody has a Mishnah Berurah there? You can follow along. On these words, v'hachi hilchasa, and that is the halacha. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Yirei Shamayim Yachmir al Atzmo, v'chosh v'deya harishoina v'yaseh talis shel tzemer k'dei she's chayev b'tzitzis min haTorah l'kulei alma. So the Mishnah Berurah says that someone who is a great fear of Hashem will be stringent upon himself and to be concerned about this first view that was presented by the Shulchan Aruch, and he will make his garment of tzitzis only from wool, in order that he will be, and what's the accomplishment of that? Like that, he will have fulfilled the mitzvah of tzitzis mina Torah according to all opinions, the Kuli Alma. And then the Mishnah Berurah says, "V'nachon beina talis gadol beina talis katan shel tzemer." Says the Mishnah Berurah, and it is proper and correct that a person should conduct himself like that, whether in regard to a talis gadol, and even with a talis katan. Well, that's what it says over there. That's the Shulchan Aruch, that's the Ramah, that's the Mishnah Berurah. So, where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? So here, where it leaves us is, we're going to take a look over here at note 5 in the Dirshu. Note 5 in the Dirshu says that the Chazon Ish, the Moreh Asra of Eretz Yisrael, the Chazon Ish, Nohag leleches im talis katan shel shar minim. So said the Baal Shoyne Halachos, Rabbeinu Agadol, Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Zeichet Tzadik v'Kodesh L'Bracha, U'Kamoshe Lovash Hagon Mivilna, Kemuva v'Masarav, as is brought in the Sefer Masarav that records all the customs of the Vilna Gaon. Okay, so there you have it.
Oh wait, I got confused. You mentioned the Chazon Ish, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and the Vilna Gaon, and I didn't know who said what. They all agreed to the same thing.
Yes.
And what is it that they're agreeing to?
Cotton is midaraisa.
Aha.
And the Chazon Ish would appear to differ with the Shulchan Aruch that and the Mishnah Berurah, and he goes to with the Ramah. The Mishnah Berurah says that it's proper for a person to take into account this first opinion that the Shulchan Aruch is saying, that the Shulchan Aruch presented that the mitzvah is with semer rechelim, but other fabrics they have no chiyuv tzitzis. Okay.
We haven't said anything about the tzitzit themselves. We've just been talking about the garment. Did the tzitzit have to be wool?
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, we didn't get into that. We didn't get into
I was
that.
thinking if you had a linen garment and you had linen tzitzit, then you wouldn't have an issue.
Right. My understanding is that that would be well, since you asked the question, let's open up a different siman in the Shulchan Aruch. This will be siman Yud Aleph. Dinei chutei hatzitzis. I think so. Okay. Dinei chutei tzitzis. Ubo tesvav seifim. 15 different sections over here. Let's try to find where the one is that we want. Let's see. It says over here in Sifhei, Ein Osin Hatzitzios Mehatsemer Hanechaz Bakotzim Keshatzon Robsim Benehem Velo Mehanimin Hanitlashin Mehabehema Velo Mishiurei Shisi Haoreg Mishiar Sofa Beged Vatam Mishum Bizui Mitzvah. Okay, so he shouldn't make. He didn't. It's a bit curious. He said you shouldn't make your tzitzis from wool that was caught in the thorns, or this or that or the other thing, because of bizui mitzvah. But what about other materials? That he didn't mention. He just mentioned you shouldn't make your tzitzis from wool, which was found in this fashion. He doesn't. All sorts of halachas about where exactly in the beged to make it, and on every corner. But it's very interesting. That was the only comment that made any reference to what material that you could make the tzitzis out of. Let's see if the Mishnah Berurah says anything about this. Um, Mishnah Berurah doesn't. I don't see any reference to the type of material that the tzitzis need to be made out of.
The word techelis, which is used in the Torah, does that mean purple wool? I mean blue wool, or just
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's referring to wool. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that's
Um,
the answer.
Well, we'll see. 1 second. You've now pointed out something very important that reminds me of the Gemara over there. Yeah, I think from my recollection of what the Gemara says over there, the issue with having the tzitzis being made out of let's say linen and the talis being made out of wool was an issue of shatnez, but it wasn't an issue of, since you made the tzitzis out of linen, so you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah.
Right, good point.
So in other words, the techelis, we had that question actually on the Gemara itself. It wasn't so long that we learned it. But the Gemara takes on that techelis is always made from wool. In other words, they would have wool tzitzis and they would dye them techelis, but they would not dye linen tzitzis techelis. And we wondered why that was. We didn't exactly know the reason why, but it seems clear. It could be because of the pasuk. When it talks about techelis, you see from the pasuk that we're talking about the way the Gemara understands it. We're talking about wool tzitzis.
Right,
but that's only, according to the Gemara, that's only it's only 2 of the 4 strands on each corner are supposed to be of techelis. But the other 2
the
are
8
not.
strands.
Yeah. When you fold them, so then they become the 4 become 8.
Right. Time is up.
Okay, I'm gonna bid you adieu.
Oh, okay. Very
Everyone,
good.
Have a good day, Mayor.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day, Mayor.
Thank you. I mean, every one of you should have a
Very
good
good
day.
Hanukkah.